On today's show, we'll recap a wild weekend. The Senators earned back-to-back wins over Pittsburgh and Dallas. They score 8 goals, and is Leevi Merilainen establishing himself as this team's number one option while Linus Ullmark's out?
And we have a friend of the show on today as a special guest. It's TSN's Claire Hanna.
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers who place a $5 bet will get started with $200 in bonus bets if you win or lose that $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today is Monday, January 13th, and Pilsy, I'm betting that Leevi Merilainen is legit. Back-to-back games this weekend. He's just doing his job out there.
Yeah, I mean, Ross, it's just his job. He's just happy to be here like the rest of us. Like me and you right now. We're just doing our job. We're just happy to be here. But, I mean, our job is a lot easier when Leevi Merilainen does his job, because covering the Ottawa Senators when they're winning back-to-back games on the weekend, one on the road, a 5-0 beat down on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then one at home in front of the good people at the Canadian Tire Center, a 3-2 win over the Dallas Stars, is a great thing. So it makes our job much more enjoyable.
It was their first win at home in a day and a half short of a month.
Oh my
December
God.
14th was the overtime win against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It was almost impossible to stop, and now here we go. The Senators, just a team effort is how I would encapsulate that. The fourth line had that one bad shift early where they got caught out against Dallas's first line. Ostapchuk loses hints in the neutral ice. Martin Palo doesn't know which way to go, and all of a sudden Jason Robertson, don't call him Nick, his brother, gets the puck past Merilainen and a screening Nicholas Martin Palo. But neither here nor there. Overall, still a great team effort. Fourth line, I thought, gave them a few good shifts. They moved Matthew Highmore off of the fourth line, and he scores a goal to open the third period. That stands up to be the game winner. How would you put both of those games together? How would you describe this weekend to someone who maybe slept through it?
The Finnish firewall was the key to this, Ross. Leevi Merilainen starts both those games. I know you're looking for more of a team description here, but he gets the shutout in Pittsburgh. And then, I hate to say it, but I think if Anton Forsberg starts that game in Dallas, you might not get the win. Not that it was like a full collapse and the Sens needed Leevi to steal the game, but he's just so chill and he just slows the game down and he's just so calm and he gives the team confidence that I think it was a key part to this team winning. I mean, Ross, we don't see very often the Ottawa Senators give up the first goal and find ways to win. That's something that they've really struggled with consistently as a team for years now, not just this version of the Ottawa Senators, Ross. We know in the past when they go down 1-0, it's hard for them to A, just tie it up, or B, take the lead and hold on to it. And the Ottawa Senators did that up against the Dallas Stars, and then up against Pittsburgh, they find a way to get the jump early, get a 3-0 lead in the first period, and they don't let it slip away at all. They don't even allow a single goal. So Leevi Merilainen was the key to both of these victories in my mind.
Leevi Merilainen makes 53 saves over the weekend on 55 shots. That's a sparkling .964 save percentage. And in his 5 starts this season, he's 4-1. The other loss coming in Edmonton when he entered the game in the second period. So just an incredible start to the National Hockey League career. I guess he did have two games, I believe 2 years ago, but this guy is just calm as they come and a huge reason for Ottawa's success.
Yep.
But they also had their top guys come to play this weekend, Pilsy. That's what we were begging for. Tim Stützle and Drake Batherson. Look, Brady Tkachuk didn't have a point this weekend, but I thought defensively he was at the top of his game. I noticed a lot of hard checks in his own zone, not panicking with the puck and trying to just flip it off the wall and out. I thought he was holding on to pucks a lot better. So Brady didn't get on the score sheet this weekend, but I do still think he did a lot of good things. You also look at Claude Giroux with 4 points this weekend, including 3 assists in Pittsburgh. That tied for the NHL lead for most points this weekend. Shane Pinto with 3, Norris, Stützle, Batherson, Jensen, Sanderson, all with multiple points this weekend. Like, just what the doctor ordered to come out here. The defense looks impeccable with that top 4 now. Zub's back with Sanderson. You've got Jensen and Shabbat playing great. Like, I just feel like everything's falling into place right now on the back side of things. And that's still without so many forwards out of the lineup and without Linus Ullmark. You're starting to see a bit of a roll here for the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, it's crazy, Ross, when you look at how this team looked this weekend, and then you think, well, this is with them with so many reinforcements and so many guys having to step up in different roles. And some of these players are close to coming back. Like Michael Amadio, I think it's not crazy to assume that he could be back anytime this week. David Perron, I feel like he's not as close, even though he's been skating as well. Linus Ullmark, they've kind of been tipping their cap that he's going to be back sooner rather than later, even though he has that week-to-week label on him. So,
well, it's almost been a month.
Yeah. But what the week-to-week comment was, what, last week?
It was a week ago.
Nice. But yeah, either way, like this team is not only surviving right now, but they're still right in the mix. Like, it's not like they're like hanging around. They're right there in the wild card race, and we'll get to that after our chat with Claire Hanna. But they need to be winning games like these on the weekend, especially up against Pittsburgh, a team that they're battling for in that wild card race. And then you want to be winning games at home, especially when you've been away from home for basically a whole month. You got to get wins in front of those fans at the CTC after the stinker when the Buffalo Sabres came here last week. So this is a great spot for the Ottawa Senators to be in, considering the circumstances of the team.
So let's do a 3 stars of the weekend, Pillsy. I think this could be fun. And I was going to say let's do 3, 2, 1, but we've already been very clear that the number 1 star of the weekend was Leevi Merilainen, the Finnish firewall. So let's work our way down, Pillsy. Okay. Who's your 2nd and 3rd star of the weekend overall?
2nd star has got to be Claude Giroux in my mind. The way he was able to set up teammates, like basically all of the goals where he got assists, they don't happen without him being a part of that play. I especially like the one Shane Pinto goal where Pinto pops off the 2 defenders, goes back, and Giroux hits him with a clean pass, and he's able to one-time it in Pittsburgh. Then I talked about the Tim Stützle goal in the postcast last night, where he just does that nice one-touch pass to Sanderson to allow Sanderson to keep his feet moving and then go eventually around the net and then find Tim Stützle open out front. It was his birthday yesterday. He turns 38 years old, and he's still getting the job done. He almost scored an empty net goal from his own end. And, of course...
Yo, you can't be aging our uncle like that. He turned 37.
Oh, 37. My bad.
I know. We've been calling him... It's his 37-year-old season.
Okay, got it. Well, he's 37 going on 38. How about...
he's got 364 more days till he's 38.
Yeah. That's funny. I really thought he turned 38. Well, hey, it's just another year of Claude Giroux we get. But yeah, I thought he was great all weekend. And then, of course, he's great in the face-off dots. So Claude Giroux, for me, Ross, would be my 2nd star. Agree or disagree? Did you have someone else in that spot?
No, I agree, but I'm going to go so far off the board that they didn't even play this weekend that for my 3rd star, how about the video coach, Mike King? Imagine they don't catch that offside and it's 2-2 in the 2nd period last night against Dallas. Completely different game.
No, you're right. Yeah, that is a good one. And I wasn't able to find the stat. They talked about it on the broadcast, his success rate.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'll just say, how about coaching challenges are my 3rd star? Because imagine the first goal of the game that set the tone in Pittsburgh. Imagine that got called back. Pittsburgh challenged that one. So
yeah. Because that turns it from a 2-0 game to a 0-0 game.
No, because they got
Pittsburgh.
No, because it was the first goal. It was the Cleven goal.
That's what I'm saying. So that Cleven goal doesn't count. So now it's 0-0, and the Sens don't get that power play.
Yep.
So it's 0-0 to start rather than 2-0.
Yeah, so I'm going with coaching challenges this weekend, both ways.
Right, I like it.
Off the board pick. But if you want an on the ice pick,
just to add to that, let's just put the whole coaching staff in there, because their decision to start Leevi Merilainen back-to-back games, that is not something that this coaching staff is used to doing. I mentioned it in the postcast. People loved when Linus Ullmark started back-to-back games early in the season. That was not the coach's decision to do that. Anton Forsberg was supposed to start that game in Pittsburgh, but got injured before the game even started. That's why Linus Ullmark started back-to-back games. Pretty much everyone wanted Leevi to start both these games, but I think Sens fans collectively were like, that's just a fun idea. The coaching staff isn't going to do it. It's going to be Forsberg starting in Dallas. So let's get all the coaching staff in there. And those clips of Alfie talking to Timmy on the bench. You see him talking to Zach McEwen. Like, it's what a world we live in to see Daniel Alfredsson mentoring Tim Stützle on the bench. So I'd like to get the whole coaching staff involved in that third star, Ross.
Shout out to the coaching staff, and how often, not only just starting a goalie on back-to-backs, but a 22-year-old rookie rather than your 33-year-old vet. It says a lot both ways, honestly. And I respect their decision to do what was best for the team, and the Finnish firewall stood tall and got the victory. After his win last night, he had some great quotes to our friend Claire Hanna. We're going to chat with Claire about that and about the police showing up when she was doing her dog walk with Drake Batherson for a content piece with TSN. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
That'll be interesting, Ross. Shame on you aging our goalie, Linus Ullmark. You said 33-year-old. He's 31. Nope. So we got to get our birthdays figured out here.
Well, you got to get your ears checked, because I was referring to Anton Forsberg.
Oh, dang it. I was hoping I got you on that one. Okay.
Who I'm still wrong. He's 32. I gave him an extra year too. Oh, we're on fire this morning. That's what happens when we do our postcast after a Sunday night game. And it is 8:45 a.m. Eastern time today. By the way, full day off today for the Ottawa Senators after back-to-back games, which means it is a perfect time to look at the standings, which we'll do after our conversation with Claire Hanna. There are only 3 games in the NHL tonight, and only the Philadelphia Flyers are of consequence to the Ottawa Senators, and they are at home against the Florida Panthers. Florida, Philadelphia, a little bit of a tongue twister there. As I've already said, we are in a very fun place this morning with the Ottawa Senators. So let's chat with Claire. Always good vibes. I figured what a Monday guest to get, Claire Hanna. So let's chat with her. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives to field goals at expiring time, doinking and going in, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. If you love the NFL playoffs, I got good news for you. There's a game on tonight. The LA Rams up against the Minnesota Vikings. Ross, I know you had action on the NFL playoffs. The Washington Commanders, they got you those green numbers in your account with that field goal at the end. Are you fired up for tonight's game as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm riding with the Rams, though. I think they're going to come together. Obviously, all the devastation in LA. This game has to be moved to Arizona. I think they're going to say, hey, we want to play in front of our fans. I don't know if that's possible based on seating. Probably not, eh?
Well, we'll see. I mean, hopefully, Ross, their fans make the journey from LA to Arizona, because they deserve a home game, and the LA Rams fans deserve to cheer their team on in the playoffs. But I'm with you, Ross. I'm going with the underdog, the LA Rams up against the Minnesota Vikings. And if you think you know how this game's going to go, or you want to get in on the action, do it with North America's #1 sportsbook at FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this NFL playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, we now welcome one of our favorite recurring guests to Locked On Senators. It is TSN host and reporter Claire Hanna joining us for the 5th time. Claire, welcome back to Locked On Sens. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. It's been 5 times.
It's been 5 times. You
That's
are now
it,
tied.
I feel like I want to come on more, but I schedules are tough. But yeah, okay, well, I'm happy. 5 is a good number at this point.
Well, we got a little too cocky in October. We had you on twice in like a week. I felt so bad. I was like, are we going to have to start paying Claire to jump on the show? Because you went to Utah and we needed the experience. That was the last time you joined us after your trip to Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
and you're mentioning
I'm not even getting like the Mary Jane or the shawarma kickbacks either, you know?
No, that should be first though, honestly. We always appreciate your insight though, and love seeing you around the team again after taking some time to be covering the World Juniors in Ottawa. Let's actually quickly start there. How was that experience? I know you love doing other things. You did the Olympics last summer. What was it like sinking your teeth into a World Juniors? And not only that, but getting to come to your own bed at the end of the day.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. I was covering Pool B. So the teams in my pool were, I hope I can do this right now. Sweden, Czechia,
Kazakhstan,
Slovakia, and I'm missing one. Not Latvia. Oh my goodness, this is awful.
Did you say Switzerland already?
Switzerland, there we go. The neutral guys, yeah. Yeah, those were the 4 or 5 teams in my pool. And I've covered the Men's World Hockey Championship overseas the past 4 or 3 of the last 4 years. And it was so similar to that. And I love covering that tournament because your job is pretty simplified as a reporter. It's mostly just interviews. I'm not doing a ton of in-game hits, but you're providing a lot of background to your play-by-play commentators because you're talking to the coaches or players ahead of time. And I just love it because it's pure reporting. Yep. So you really get to sink your teeth into that. You're not distracted by a couple of other things, right? And I find you get good relationships with teams because you might be you're covering like so many games in such a short amount of time. So I really liked it. We had some great games. Czechia, Sweden was a great game. We had a Kazakhstan game where they almost came back, I think, and beat Slovakia. They really pushed Czechia. There were some barn burners. And then in the quarterfinals, Latvia, they were one of my favorite teams, and they've been one of my favorite teams for a while since I started covering the World Championships. Back when they beat Canada, when Nick Paul and who else? Connor Brown were on the Canadian team when they had that year where it started off really badly. Well, when Latvia beat them, and I was in Latvia witnessing how passionate that little country is about hockey. Like we love like hockey in Canada. We've seen that growing up. We're kind of, you come out of the womb with skates on. But to witness a team where we don't think of them as a hockey nation, but for them to get so fired up about a win like that was cool. So then watching them again beat Canada here at the World Juniors and then go on and really push Sweden in the quarterfinal. I really respected that team. And to me, those are the magical moments of World Juniors, getting to see nations grow and progress and also watch the success at a senior level trickle down to a junior level, because some of those games in the past 4 years have inspired these new players or even players like Elvis Merzlikins, who's in the NHL, to pick up a hockey stick and play. So I love it. It was great.
Now, what's that like from a preparation standpoint, Claire? Because obviously you're dialed into Kazakhstan's goalie, Vladimir Nikitin, Sens prospect. But I mean, like, some of these players, you don't really have a lot of background info on. You got to find out name pronunciations. Like you mentioned, you're interviewing the coaching staff, so you got to find out info on them. What's your process like to get prepared for a tournament like this where there's so many different people from so many different countries all coming to one place?
Google, Wikipedia. It sounds so basic, but okay, I got to give credit to, we have a stats guy at TSN. His name's Joe Del Busso. He does a lot of digging and he puts these roster preps together for us. So I wish I had one right around here because I love a little show and tell. I don't know if I've got one. Oh my gosh, I do. This is crazy. And it's Switzerland. And I don't know if I should be showing this because this might be confidential information, but he puts these rosters together. So It's basic. You get the name, you get the age, height, weight, hometown, recent team experience, and if they've been drafted. And those are really basic things, but we do not need to get into super nitty-gritty parts of these players because sometimes the audience just wants to know, okay, well, was this guy drafted into the NHL? Has he been to the World Juniors before? How many World Juniors has he been to? Has he played in the WHL? Those sorts of things. Now, it's really hard to get to know every single player before you cover them. So what I do is I do a broad prep on teams. Okay, when was the last time they were at the World Juniors? How did they do? When was the last time they got a gold? Have they ever got a gold? When was the last time they medaled? How did they do last year? How did they do in this matchup? Those sorts of things. And then as the game's going on, if there's a kid who's got 2 goals or 3 assists, then I'll start Googling them within the game. And then doing a bit more background research because I've got time, even in 5 minutes, if I know I'm interviewing a player, I can find out a lot of info in 5 minutes. So that's why sometimes in the middle of a game, if somebody from the crowd yells at me or asks for a photo, I'm like, because this is where I do a lot of my work. Yes, there's a lot of prep, but then in the middle of the game to get the good questions, that's where I'm trying to suss out some information.
Well, you did great with your questions last night after the game. You always do the first star interview at the bench after Ottawa Senators games, and it was a guy who was basically World Junior age, rookie goaltender Leevi Merilainen at 22 years old, puts on a great performance. We just talked about his weekend overall, the shutout in Pittsburgh, then coming back and playing at home, his first ever home game, and he puts up a masterclass. And you asked him what it was like playing on back-to-back games. He gave you an awesome answer. This is my job. This is what I do. What's it like not only in that situation, which I want to hear about, but getting the most out of those questions at the bench where it's right in the heat of the moment. They're just finishing a game and they're obviously feeling pretty emotional after a victory.
Yeah. And on top of that, Ross, there's the component of the fact that this isn't just going to TSN. Those interviews, everybody in the house or at the Canadian Tire Center is hearing the response. So I'm honestly trying to think of a way to make sure we provide the information that highlights what this player has just done, the significance of the moment, but also to kind of give like a pump up moment for this athlete so that they get a big ovation from the crowd because you want them to feel that love too, right? So last night when I found out it was, and usually I have about 6 minutes when I find out who the first star is. So that's my prep time. I mean, of course I've done prep on them ahead of time, but for him, that was easy because that was a unique situation. I know that goaltenders start back-to-back nights occasionally, but not frequently, and usually not when it's their 7th and 8th ever NHL games and when they're 22 years old. Like that was very unique. So to me, that was a no-brainer question. Like we just have to ask, what is that like? And Leevi is typically in scrums where it's a bunch of us reporters in the locker room. He's been pretty quiet and hasn't given very long answers. So I'm also nervous going into that because I usually prep 3 questions, but in my mind, I'm like, I might have to have 5 because what if he doesn't answer very much? But, and then also just the significance of the win because Dallas came in as the hottest team in the NHL. They had the longest win streak at that point, 7 games in a row. So there's that significance. Like, what does it mean to beat this team and get the team win? And then you just also want to know at this point, I think I'm curious, how comfortable is he getting with the Senators? Because he hasn't been with the team that long. So I don't know, maybe it seems like impressive what I do, but I don't think so because I'm just trying to ask.
You're just doing your job. You're just happy to be there.
This is what I'm paid to do. but truly, like these are the questions we're all wondering. So I'm just going to ask them. Let's not overcomplicate this.
Hope you're enjoying our chat with Claire. We'll get right back to it. But first, Pillsy's got a word from one of our favorite sponsors.
Yes, this episode's also brought to you by Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you're paying for twice? It's definitely happened to me. I know it's happened to Ross, probably happened to Claire Hanna as well, paying for subscriptions that you didn't even realize you were still paying for. And Rocket Money makes it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spendings, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place: subscriptions, spending habits, even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving their members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. I love the subscription tracker. So many times, you do the free trial, 7 days, and you forget to cancel after, and then you're paying months and months without knowing it. Not with Rocket Money. I've already saved a ton, and you can too. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. One more time, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Now, that was obviously a memorable on the bench interview after the game. I'm wondering, Claire, from this season, do you have any other ones that stick out of you chatting to a first star from the Sens right after the game?
Honestly, when my A2, so one of the guys who works on the production, when we were walking down, he's like, Claire, we haven't done many of these because we only do it after the Sens win. Also, it has to be a TSN broadcast. Yep. They were just on the road for 3 weeks. So reflecting on how many I've done this year, not a ton. But I going through my memory bank right now, I think Linus Ullmark getting his first win at home.
Yeah, the home opener.
I remember that one big time. Yeah,
that was probably great because for that one, holy moly, the crowd was rambunctious and they were chanting his name.
Yep.
You felt like
we were a part of that
savior coming in, and that was pretty awesome. Just like, and when you're down there and you're with the player and you're looking around and you're seeing everybody like looking at them and like loving them up, it's a pretty crazy feeling because I'm standing right beside him. And so I'm like, he's seeing all this and he's recognizing how much the crowd appreciates him in this market, appreciates his performance, appreciates the win. So I've actually reflected on that game a few times because it's really special to get to be so close to the player who's feeling all of that emotion and love, because I don't think many people get to like stand on a stage and have a crowd looking at them. And I'm just like, ooh, I'm just beside Linus watching it all, so it's really fun.
And it's also, it's fun also to see you getting to know the players off the ice. We've seen a few features this season so far, and Linus Ullmark was one of them. Drake Batherson, another, where you guys went for dog walks. Now, first question on this topic: what, are you scared of a little cold? We're not getting any new ones.
Okay,
well, they've been on the road for a couple weeks here, Ross. Give her some credit. Come on, I got your back, Claire.
Okay. Thank you. That's a scheduling thing, and I know we're going to revisit it. The cold never bothered me anyway. Okay, so we'll get back out there. Hank's here. He loves the cold. He thrives. I think it's just a matter of finding a time to do it. But no, that thing is still alive and well. We just have to find it. And I won't name names, but some players, we've arranged a time to do a dog walk, and then something comes up in their personal life, like a haircut, or they're going to Nordic spa, and we have to reschedule. So and that's okay, because here's the thing: the guys are, and I always appreciate this, are taking time out of their lives to do this feature, to show themselves. They're vulnerable, so we have to respect it. And the schedule is grueling. So if they need an afternoon off, I'm like, yeah, get it. So it's a scheduling thing.
So the video you did with Drake, you were telling us off air that there were some unexpected cameo guests in that one. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting story. Drake was very open to doing this. Okay, loves his dog Bobby. He actually has another dog too, Ivy. But Ivy apparently think Ivy's a Doberman. I can't. But he was like, yeah, I wasn't gonna bring her. But anyways, I have this watch. Okay, it's a Garmin watch. And in my spare time, I like to do a lot of outdoor activities. And the reason I have the Garmin is to track it, but also if I'm in the backcountry. So my parents live in Alberta. I'm frequently by myself. There's no cell service. And if I fall mountain biking or have an accident, there's this thing on my watch that notifies emergency contacts that I'm in trouble. And I usually get a little notification. So I was like mountain biking once and I fell and my watch noticed and it was like, should we notify emergency contacts? And I was fine. So I was like, no. Anyways, on this dog shoot, I don't know how it happened, but I was wearing a long sleeve shirt. It was covered. And this isn't a live interview with Drake, but I don't want to pause the interview if I get a phone call or something like that, right? Like this is the priority, interviewing Drake and Bobby and Hank, my dog. Well, I thought I was getting a phone call on my watch, so I just ignored it. And then we keep doing the interview and I just noticed my watch is buzzing a lot. So I look at it. Well, for some reason, my watch thinks there's been an emergency. So it's notified my emergency contacts. And what the watch does, it's amazing, is it sends them your location and your exact location, like, coordinates. And my parents are both on there. And then one of my best friends in BC. Well, I saw it was like notifying emergency contacts. So I pressed stop and I'm like, we're good. It's. Well, we kept doing the interview and then I can feel my phone buzzing off the hook. And I'm like, gosh, what is going on? Well, I look, 5 missed calls from my best friend in BC. Oh. My mom's called, like she's calling and I can see like 6 missed calls from her. So I'm like, hey, you guys, I'm so sorry. And I think I'd mentioned something about my watch. Like, hey, you guys, sorry, my watch did this funky thing. Let me just pick up because I think my parents think I'm in an emergency. I'm like, Mom, I'm fine. She's like, okay. I'm sorry, your thing went off. And I'm like, okay. And then I look though, and she texted me before calling me. And she's like, Claire, I see you're at McKellar Park. We've sent the police because you haven't picked up the phone. And then my friend in BC,
which is the right move for your mom. Like credit to her.
Sure.
She weren't answering. Seemed like there was an emergency. So good mom there.
I'm in the middle of a park too, right? Like that's like kind of a place where bad things could possibly happen. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm like, my mom called the police. I don't know if they're going to show up. And we look up. And at that moment, the police are showing up to the park.
How many?
Just 1 cop.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my, and Drake's like, wow, that's a really effective watch. Like that really works. And I'm so embarrassed. And so I was like, hold on, I'm so sorry to pause this. I run over to the cops. And I'm like, I'm sorry, my watch had this, emergency setting. I'm like, I'm totally fine. He's like, okay, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, we're doing this shoot. And I also don't want him to come over and be like, oh, Drake Batherson from the Sens is here. Like, I don't want to cause a scene.
So your mom called the cops on your shoot with Drake?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And then, so I talked to the cop and I reassure him we're all good. And I apologize because I also don't like the fact that if there's been some emergency somewhere else, he's been called here. We're taking up, valuable time from the police service. So then anyways, I go back and apologize to Drake. And my camera guy's like, Claire, I rolled on all of that. So yeah, I was mic'd up. So we've got the behind the scenes footage, but I was so embarrassed and Drake was so cool about it. And there were some of the Sens PR staff, they were cool about it. But the next day or 2 days later at practice, I was interviewing Linus and afterwards he's like, why'd you send the cops on my boy Drake?
Oh man. Well, it's a good thing the cop didn't see Hank because that, like you talked about, maybe he was like, oh, Drake Batherson's here. He's probably like, is that Hank? The Hank? And then he's getting photos and then it's just extending the shoot. So it's good you avoided all that.
Yeah.
Well, Hank definitely ran over and jumped on him in an exciting way. But now my friend in BC is like, so have you been to McKellar Park recently? Like McKellar Park now has become also an icon in our family for a place where the cops showed up.
That's amazing, Claire. We appreciate the behind the scenes because we get to see such a final, finished, polished product. So it's awesome to see that things don't always go as smooth, but we're glad everybody was safe. Nobody was harmed in the making of that segment, but you're saying that the segment is not over.
No, I don't think it's over. I'm going to make sure we revitalize this segment because it has been a while. That last one, I think the last one we ran was mid or early November.
Yeah.
Now, how many other players have dogs? Like who's on the list here? Pinto, right?
Okay, I'll tease a couple that we want to do. Thomas Chabot, he's game. Anton Forsberg, but dog does not get along with other dogs. So that's going to be a solo dog feature if we get it. Hank not involved.
And is that the same dog that's on his helmet? Does he have a corgi?
Yeah.
No, that was Linus Allmark who has his dogs. He used to have his dogs on his helmet. But wait, does Anton Forsberg also have his dog?
No, it's Forsberg. Allmark doesn't have dogs on his helmet.
When he was with Boston, he had his dogs.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that's where I got confused. But it's not a corgi. He has one of those dogs. They're like
they're not. They're
like little bitches.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you might have to edit that out, but
if it's female dog, that's an appropriate term.
No, but they're like little jerks. And he even described his dog as a little jerk around other dogs.
Yeah.
But who else? Jake Sanderson has a puppy.
Nice.
I don't know if he'd be open for that, but I'm like, oh my God, let's get this one fast. So the puppy's tiny, right? I think Shane Pinto has a dog too. And I feel like there's one more that
Does Timmy have a dog?
No, Tim did have a dog, but it passed away.
Shiba Inu.
Right.
It's a Shiba Inu, I think.
Those dogs are jerks. Yeah, they're so adorable, but they are not they're not friendly. Yeah, they're
Bill's a cat guy.
Yeah, but
I'm an animal guy.
How many cats do you have, Billsy?
2.
He's a cat guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Dog on the way.
Whoa.
Dog
Are you announcing your dog pregnancy right now?
Yeah, I mean, the issue is every time I think about getting a dog, I'm like, well, we got
another cat.
5 weddings to go to. Then I got my own wedding, honeymoon, and it's like, okay, dog will come in spring of 2027. So we'll hope for that.
Get the photo shoot going.
I need the gender reveal.
Well,
I'll the mama showing the litter, and this is the one.
Yeah, and I'll do a dog walk segment with you when it arrives.
Love that.
Oh, that's amazing.
We got to get creative too. I think the snow dog walks will be fun. I think we should take them tobogganing.
Love it.
That's a great idea. What else do you have cooking for the rest of the season, Claire? It's been so great seeing you back on Sens broadcasts now.
Well, I got to keep that under wraps. I got to, keep you guys on your toes, thinking about what might be next.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on. How rude is that? Yeah. What's your schedule like? Are you going out on any of these quick road trips that the Sens are on coming up?
No more road trips for me. I've got one assignment on the road coming up, and I don't know if I should say it yet because I think my bosses would be upset if I revealed that because you never know what could change.
Nobody listens to this show.
Nobody watches.
You can just tell us.
No, so many people listen to you guys. No, but it's a really fun one, and we'll talk after it. I promise.
Okay.
You'll want to know about it. Okay. I feel like I've hinted enough. You might be able to figure out what it is.
We'll be on pins and needles in the meantime. Claire, we appreciate you so much. You're such a perfect Monday guest after a great weekend where the Sens go 2-0. Always bring a smile to my face and appreciate a little behind the scenes on that. I don't think the boys are going to be letting you live that one down anytime soon. Anytime there's a slight inconvenience, we'll ask if the cops are coming now. Is Claire's mom going to send the cops again? Jesus.
My goodness.
But we do appreciate you, Claire. You are a true friend of the show, 5-time recurring guest, and we always look forward to these visits. So let's do it again soon, all right?
Thanks for having me.
All right, Billsy, what a guest Claire Hanna continues to be on this show. Stick taps to her. Make sure you're following her, Claire Hanna, CLA Hanna, on social media. Billsy, the standings a lot better than they were Friday.
Yeah, definitely, Ross. Anytime your Ottawa Senators are ahead of the Montreal Canadiens, that's a good sight for me, but not by much, Ross. The Dallas Stars did us a favor by beating them in the shootout, and Montreal did us a favor by tiring out that Dallas Stars team by taking them to a shootout and losing. The Dallas Stars, Ross has pulled it up on YouTube. They helped the Sens out. Ottawa now has 45 points. The Detroit Red Wings, Montreal Canadiens, and Pittsburgh Penguins all sit just 1 point behind the Sens with 44, and the Sens are just 1 point out of a wild card spot behind the Columbus Blue Jackets. But Ross, with a game in hand.
I slipped and clicked point percentage. The Senators are tops in the wild card when it comes to points percentage right now. Those games in hand feel a lot better after a couple of wins versus the other way. With the points, though, and with the teams that are around Ottawa, geez, man, this new coach bump in Detroit continues. 7 straight wins for them. They had 4 goals in their first 6 shots yesterday against Seattle. Then you've got Columbus just grinding out wins, one of the best stories in the NHL. They've won 4 straight. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games.
Look at Columbus' home record, Ross.
It's outrageous. Now, their road record, on the other hand, must improve. But they did get a road win last night, on Saturday night. I believe St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken. So they're starting to win. Look, even the Islanders have won 3 in a row. That's Ottawa's next game on Tuesday. You got the Rangers winners of 2 in a row. Like, everybody is right there. Yep. Even Philadelphia. Like, Philly and the Islanders have 41 points and are the second and third last team in the conference, but they're still only 5 points out. And the Islanders have a game in hand on the Columbus Blue Jackets. So this is as tight of a conference in terms of like this many teams in the mix as I think I've ever seen more than halfway through the season. Like, if we take a quick look at the West wild card, it's like Vancouver and then Calgary's 1 point back. And then after that, nobody's within like 3 points after that. And the team that's closest has 2 extra games played and 3 extra games played. Like, this is how I'm used to seeing the standings out West. And then in the East, it is like every day. It's like, I'll leapfrog you. You leapfrog me. I got games in hand on you. It is just, it's as wild as I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's a game of musical chairs in the East. And then out West, like, I don't even think like I think Calgary still will be a threat, but like St. Louis and Utah and Anaheim, I don't think the other teams are really that concerned that they're going to hop them. So it's all about playing for position. But scroll back up to the East for a second, Ross.
And I like that. I like that Tampa's now in the top 3 in the division because it's much more realistic here to be catching Boston, and I want to see them. I want to see my enemy right now.
Yeah, I love it, Ross. Another thing I love, take a look at the goal differential column. A lot of red, except for your Ottawa Senators with a green +2.
The only team with like a dark red in their logo, the Ottawa Senators. You could argue the Red Wings, but it's a little bit lighter.
I was going to say.
It's lighter of a hue. Come on.
Well, what about the Montreal Canadiens?
No, that's like, ugh.
That's just red.
It's like blood red. It's like the plasma red. They've been winning hockey games though too, and they've been beating some good teams. Couldn't beat Dallas though.
Couldn't beat Dallas. Nope.
Couldn't be us. This is going to be decided in like game 75 to 80. Like this, there's no like must-win games right now because everybody is just so tight.
Well, and go ahead.
These are meaningful games. Welcome to meaningful games, guys.
And Ross, this is what we talked about at the start of the season, and it bears repeating. This just goes to show how advantageous it will be for the Senators to look at their April schedule. Only 1 road game up against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We just talked about how good their home record is, so that's going to be a tough one and will have meaning. But almost all their games, except 1, are against Eastern Conference teams in April, and those are all at home. So the Ottawa Senators, if they can keep themselves in a spot like this, they will be the controllers of their destiny when it comes to April and the end of the season. So I can't wait for that.
Despite the games in hand, Ottawa is still number 1 with the Boston Bruins, who again have played 3 more games in regulation plus overtime wins. The Sens just so rarely go to a shootout, only once so far this season. Boston hasn't been to any, nor have the New York Rangers. But if you look at it, like Columbus has been in 3, Montreal's been in 4, Pittsburgh's been in 5 shootouts this year.
Wow.
So has the Philadelphia Flyers. But that is one of the tiebreakers as well, along with regulation wins, which ironically, the New York Rangers are number 1 in the whole conference in terms of wildcard teams with regulation wins. They just suck in overtime. They have 1 overtime win all year, Pilsy.
Crazy. Yeah, but hey, Ross, like I know we dog on the Rangers, but
Oh,
they are still within striking distance. Yep.
Yep, they're definitely in the mix, and that's why Ottawa's game against them on the 21st is going to be huge at Madison Square Garden. So we're looking forward to all that. For more in-depth analysis on the games themselves, make sure to check out the postcast from over the weekend. Another back-to-back next weekend.
Of course.
We've got a show every single day until February 2nd, this Sunday, because the weekend after that, the Senators have the Leafs and the Hockey Club. We're the Hockey Club now after the shutout win earlier this year. But this is a busy, busy stretch for Sens hockey, which means it's a busy, busy stretch for us here on Locked On Sens. We appreciate each and every one of you making us your first listen each and every day. And after Ottawa Senators games, enjoy the rest of this Victory Monday. We'll chat with you tomorrow. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.